The Way of the Samurai series is a series I've enjoyed over the years, being an open world experience where you're only given the basics of what's going on with your words and actions shaping the fate of the land and its people is what drew me to it. And today we're going to be looking at the second game in the series with Way of the Samurai 2, like its predecessor on the PlayStation 2. The game also received a port to the PSP, though this was in Japan only. There was a project to port the English translation to the PSP version, but at the time of this review remains incomplete. Way of the Samurai 2's events take place prior to Way of the Samurai. The game is set in the closing days of the Edo period, which happens before the Meiji Restoration, leading to the Meiji period that the first game is set in, where Japan had opened up to the rest of the world. But I've briefed on that a little in the review for the first game. In this game you play as a ronin, or a samurai without a master, as they reach the fictional city of Amahara. Your character faints from hunger and is saved by a young girl who had offered you some rice balls. You are then presented with how you want to respond to the girl, and your adventure begins here. Will you get involved with the folks in the city? Will you help the notorious Audacity gang and its new leader? Will you try to restore order alongside the city magistrates? Or maybe you'll do your own thing. Your words and actions will shape the fate of Amahara in this single player action adventure game. But is it any good? Find out in The Good. The gameplay has been enhanced greatly from the first game, with the character now having 6 to 8 days to resolve the events that take place as opposed to the 2 to 3 of the original. There are extra things that you can do to pass time, such as doing jobs with brokers for the Audacity gang, magistrates or common people to earn money that you can use to buy things, as well as gaining respect with that faction. Doing these jobs will affect how the other factions look at you, and this is mostly evident with the Audacity gang and magistrates, where, for example, magistrates may attack you on sight if you're in high standings with the Audacity gang. The game doesn't provide any hand-holding, and after the initial conversation with the young girl at the start, you're free to act however you like. The game's combat has been brought over from the first game with some upgrades, such as the inclusion of stance breakers that can break a character's guard, a simpler parry system, and the introduction of instant kill attacks, which can kill most grunt characters. Dojima, the blacksmith from the first game, reappears but is unrelated to the plot. He still serves to upgrade your weapons, and you can even grant titles on them based on things like the weapon's stats or how many enemies you've killed with it, which will grant an additional bonus to the weapon's stats. Your character still learns moves by using the weapon, and like the first game there are different stances for weapons, so there's a lot of flexibility in using other weapons. Just be mindful that you will lose your weapon if you're killed and the sword was not stored in the sword safe. Any successful endings where your character makes it out alive will allow you to keep any held weapons for the next playthrough. You can also buy things to increase your maximum health, though it will return back to normal in the next playthrough in most circumstances. Items you purchase and don't use can also be stored in an item box for you to take out later on to give you an advantage on your next playthrough, as finding healing items outside of stores is pretty rare. Regardless of whether you survive or die, you are graded on your performance and earn points. As you reach certain milestones, you will unlock additional heads and clothing items for your character, as well as cosmetic accessories. Some of the heads and clothing unlocked are female, so you can also play through the game as a female character, though the game will still continue to use male pronouns in cutscenes and voice dialogue. As a bonus, if you input a code fast enough, you can unlock the ability to change your character model to any character in the game, as well as character models from the first game, which is pretty neat. The wanted posters where the magistrates are based also have characters from Way of the Samurai on them, which is a nice Easter egg too. I feel that the gameplay is a huge improvement over the first game. The game's story has also gotten quite an upgrade too. While the previous game has 7 possible endings, this game effectively doubles the amount of endings with 14 possible endings, 15 if you count just leaving Amahara early. While most of the endings are variations of choices you make close to the conclusion of the game's events, there is one which is expanded on greatly, and that is the ending where you get involved with the Audacity gang, as there are 2 factions within it vying for power. There is the group led by Hanzaemon, who wishes to rule Amahara by force by peddling soma as a drug, and then there's Kasumi, the daughter of the previous boss of the Audacity gang, who believes that her late father's way of running the gang as a chivalrous group who looked after the people is the way to go. You can choose to help Kasumi achieve her goal, or help Hanzaemon cement his position with the choice of optionally killing Kasumi in the process. Without spoiling too much, the storyline involving the young girl who saves you at the start also has a few variations as well, and there are certainly more characters to take note of, with some of them not being exactly who they claim to be. The ending varieties I feel are much better than the ones from the first game, which, without spoiling too much, I found lacking, as the final boss for pretty much all of the endings was the same one guy. Whereas some of the endings of 2 I found were more open. Getting the different endings is what made it worth replaying, and like the first game, I really feel that it eases you into it in terms of difficulty. I played on easy, and as I learnt more moves and improved my weapons over successful runs, I could ease myself into medium and then hard for a better challenge, but with better rewards, as weapons you pick tend to have better stats depending on the difficulty. I really enjoyed the story development for the different endings, and like the gameplay, it's a huge improvement over the first game. Each ending, outside leaving, I found took over an hour to get, and I didn't feel like it dragged on trying to get them, which is good. The game's visuals are also a step up from the first game. Amahara certainly looks more detailed than Rokotsu Pass, and there's more people passing through in each area, giving the impression of a bustling city. There's several more areas available to explore, and when you leave an area, you're taken to a map where you can choose your next location. Time will pass as you play the game, whether you're doing a job for a faction or even goofing off or picking fights. Each period of time will reduce your energy bar by 1, and if this drops to 0, your character will pass out. Energy can be restored by buying certain items or by resting at a house that you have access to in the game. But by doing the latter, you're also making time pass too, and if you're doing a job, unless you're in the area where you can turn it in, you're going to fail it when you leave the area and time passes. While there's a lot of good I can say about the game, it does have its share of flaws too, so let's explore those in the bad. The game's camera I still think can work against you at times, and this is especially in the case with battles, as you need to fight it to get an idea on what to input to perform certain moves or to judge distance. The camera can also work against you in a certain event where you need to protect the girl from the start of the game from both the Auto gang and the magistrates as a fight breaks out during a festival. It can get hectic, and the girl can die easily if she gets in the way, which she does a lot, and gets hit by either you or an enemy when trying to break up the fight or defend yourself, which frustrated me quite a bit. One of the Auto gang's jobs is to collect money from people without attracting a magistrate's attention, and sometimes the camera can work against that and you'll fail if a magistrate notices. Especially since one of the people you might be asked to collect from is a magistrate and can be found right inside their headquarters. While one of the game's strongest points is replayability, and with multiple endings to choose from, the drawback to this is that you'll be watching scenes over and over again as you progress through to get the ending you're after. You can't really skip a lot of these scenes, though you can press the X button to move on to the next line, though in saying that you have to make sure you know when an important choice is coming up in case you choose the wrong one trying to get through a scene as fast as possible. Interestingly enough, a lot of the lines in the game are voiced too, and while personally I don't have an issue with the voice acting, and believe me, I've heard much worse, I think there's a charm to it which reminds me of poorly dubbed kung fu movies of years past, which, to be honest, I kinda like, and I think they might have been going for that kind of approach. But it was a bit of a pain going through the same story beats and even some overlapping ones just to get to certain endings, so I would consider this a minor complaint overall. I didn't mind having to watch them again and again, to be fair, but it may put some people off. I think I've covered everything I didn't like, so let's wrap it up with the opinion. Way of the Samurai 2 is a big improvement over the first game in pretty much every aspect, while keeping the freedom of putting your character in a place to then go off and pretty much do whatever. The gameplay's been improved with new features while refining old ones. The story's much more complex with many more endings and more characters involved, which addressed an issue I had with the first game, and the game is a visual step up as well. The camera is still your enemy, and there is the process of going through the same scenes over and over again to get to the desired ending, considering 5 of them are from the one faction alone, but I thought that this was pretty minor. The game's a good choice to pass time over the course of an afternoon, and if you can put up with rewatching scenes, there's a lot of replayability to be found in Way of the Samurai 2, so I definitely recommend it, especially if you liked the first game or are interested in action-adventure or action role-playing games. So with that, it's time for my rating. I would give Way of the Samurai 2 these rice balls out of 10. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.